Hello, I'm Michael Boyajian, and I'm going to do another talk about the book I'm working on right now, which is getting a lot of buzz, probably because the program has been jump-started again with the Artemis rocket, along with several private rockets out there. And basically, what I'm going to talk about is the children at the time of the space program. And starting with me, I had on my wall as a kid the standard space poster showing all these spaceships and space stations that were going to come out in the near future. And I was talking to my friend, Sal, and he said, "You know what? I had the same poster." Yeah, I think we all had the same posters during the space age, the beginning of the space age. And that's one story of childhood. And the other is Jerry's sister Stacy, who was a little older than Jerry, and was kind of like her father Gus. Gus Wagner, his wingman, his right by his side through all the stressful moments of the space program, 24/7. And Gus was an engineer on the Lunar Lander program for Grumman Aerospace, along with his brother George. And which reminds me, Jerry's and Stacy's cousin Diane, I found out had pictures of Gus and his brother and their father, and Gus and his brother barbecuing, which is really the kind of how the light bulb went off in my head. Is we're doing this family tree going back 2,000 years, looking for famous people, and right there on the patio are Gus and his brother George flipping cheeseburgers nonchalantly, not even caring about this family tree thing. And they are the biggest thing in the history of the human race, having worked on the space program. And landing on the moon was the greatest achievement in human history to date. Okay, so there's that story. And so she emailed over a couple of JPEGs of the photos of George on his barbecue and Gus on his barbecue, and they weren't gas grills. They were charcoal. They were charcoal guys. And in the middle of this a group of frames is their father, Gus Sr., and who owned the bowling alley and was a Brooklyn guy. And here it is, a Brooklyn guy and owner of a bowling alley's two sons end up working on the greatest achievement in human history, the space program and the landing on the moon. Anyhow, I could go on, but it leads to a few years ago, Jerry said, "I've had enough with this European travel." Actually, she was quite content just sitting in the gardens. You could forget all the travel. But she wanted to go to the Cape Kennedy space site, and is still in use as part of a NASA facility, but they've also taken a cue from Walt Disney and turned it into a amusement park dedicated to the space program. They got all kinds of theaters, amphitheaters, all kinds of rockets, everything's shuttlecraft, all kinds of space things, and on a big scale. So I was working on the planning phase for that trip. How do you fly down there, and got to rent a car in Orlando, go 1 hour over to the coast, and et cetera, hotel tickets. You could even arrange to be there when they had a launch planned. By the way, I did get to see a shuttle launch, although I was in Orlando. And when I was in the corporate world before law school, and one of our very creative salesmen from California came with the idea for this trade show that was going to be in Orlando that coincided with a shuttle launch that will have a hospitality party for the clients on the balcony of our hotel, and invite the clients over for food and drink. and to watch the shuttle launch, which was on the East Coast, about an hour away. But you couldn't see the flames or the shape of the shuttle. But when it took off, you knew it was the space shuttle. You could see a little dot followed by a long trail of smoke, and it was moving faster than anything you ever saw. Okay, so I did get to see a space launch, a shuttle launch. And the other thing is, when I was on business in California around that time, they had to land a shuttle out somewhere in California. I forgot the name of the famous air base, but it flew over my hotel. I heard the sonic boom, is what I heard. I didn't see it, but heard the boom. But anyhow, again, you can see a shuttle. There's a few places where the actual shuttles have retired to. One is in New York, on top of the Intrepid aircraft carrier in Manhattan on the west side. And anyhow, so I'm planning this trip for us to get to the Kennedy Space Center. And unfortunately, Jerry got sick, and those plans never came to be. And funny thing is, a couple of years afterwards, I was poking through her bookshelf, and I found a visitor's guide for the Kennedy Space Center, amusement park for people, and it was something else. But anyhow, that's the story. And again, it's Moonshot, the Gus Wagner story, and it's packed with a lot of stories like that. Okay? Happy New Year.